What is up, guys? It's Speed Kills here, bringing you my solo stamina sorcerer PvP build for the Scalebreaker patch. So first things first, I'm just going to go through the general information about the build. So we are a Nord sorcerer. I chose Nord because it gives the resistances that we need in medium armor. The rest of the Nord passives are also very good for this build. The ult gen, the max health, the max stam, and being resistant to shield. So, looking at the Mundus Stone, we have the Serpent. I tried several Mundus Stones for this build. I started off with the Ritual because I thought I might need extra heals. Then I moved to the Warrior. And I found that in very outnumbered situations, I was running out of Sustain, those are my favorite kinds of fights. So, I didn't want to run out of Sustain in those fights. So, I am running the Serpent now. And my Sustain is amazing with this setup. So, our food, we're using the Artaeum Takeaway Broth. It gives us max health, max stam, health recovery, and stamina recovery. All great things for the sorcerer build. So consumable-wise, we are running these. So these are very expensive pots. They give health, stamina, and then they give the lingering health. These are very expensive because they have the dragon blood ingredient in them. If you don't want to use these pots, I would recommend tripots. Or if you're using a different skill set than me, I would recommend max health, max stam, and crit pots. So the major savagery pots. Those are the 3 pots that I would recommend for this build. For other situations, you might want some detect potions or some invisibility potions, maybe even a movable potion. But these are the main potions that I use in this build. So looking at the sets, we're using Bloodspawn, we're using Hunting's Rage, and we're using Automatons. I don't know if that's the way you say it or not. We'll just call it Auto from here on out. So we have Bloodspawn, Hunting's, and Aldo. These are the 3 main sets, and then on the back bar we have Black Rose, Perfected, Axe, and Dagger. So usually on my builds I run a 5-1-1. Which means 5 medium, 1 heavy, 1 light. On this build, I chose to run 7 medium. So everything here is medium. All of my traits are impenetrable because that is the best trait for PvP. It reduces your damage by a lot. So your damage taken, sorry about that. So whenever people crit you, it hits you for a lot less damage than it would if you were wearing a different armor trait. As you can see, we have all triglyphs, which include a Hakejo in them. So they can get very pricey as well. But if you want to run something else, that is fine. I just like the magicka and the health that you gain from running Hakejos. These are the most efficient enchantments to put on armor, stat-wise. So our rings and jewelry, they are all infused, all weapon damage, which scales really well with our medium and our sorcerer because we have some multipliers on weapon damage. All right, so auto, maul. So I prefer maul. It gives you the most damage with 100% uptime, whereas the sword would be more damage while your onslaught buff is up. So I prefer this. That way my damage is pretty high all the time. We have a weapon damage and spell damage enchant on there just to maximize our damage. And then back bar we have the Black Rose Perfected Axe and the Black Rose Perfected Dagger. Our traits here are Nernhold and Precise. And I will explain why we have the Precise later on when we talk about our stats. Alright, so damage, health, poison. This is what we have on the back bar. This adds a lot of pressure whenever you're on your back bar. You hit them with a Blood Craze and your Quick Cloak is going off. It will proc these, and it just adds a lot of pressure to whatever target this applies to. Okay, so let's go over our stat sheet. Let me get buffed up. So Crit Surge, Hurricane. That's all it takes to get buffed up here. And we look at our stats. We've got 29k stam, close to 25k health. So these are good numbers, not great numbers, but good enough. But the main stats that we focused on are these three right here. So my hurricane went down already. Let me reapply that. We've got 17, 18 stamina recovery, almost 4,300 weapon damage, and 50.9% crit. So that crit works very well for Stamina Sorcerer because of crit surge. So we get healed just about every second from crit surge because of that high crit rate. If we look at our spell and physical resistances, you can see that they are not too low, but not too high either. About 20k physical and spell resist, but I don't think that resist are the best way to go this patch for tankiness. I think that heals over time contribute to a lot of tankiness, as well as things like major protection, minor protection, other buffs like that. So our critical resistance is 3k. That's about where I want to be on all of my builds. So I manage that with champion points as well as the impenetrable trait. So those are our stats on the front bar. Let's look on the back bar. So our crit is still 49%, which is what I aimed for on this build. I wanted to have 50% crit on both bars. And so that's why we were running on our back bar. We've got a dagger to give us crit, and we have precise to give us crit. That way our crits are both near 50%. All right, so let's look at the skills we're running. So we're running Dizzying Swing. This is our burst /CC /spammable. It does a lot for this build. Reverse Slice, this is our execute. So you see a lot of people using Executioner this patch because of the larger scaling, but I get so much cleave damage on this build, I like to use Reverse Slice. Sometimes I'll hit a Reverse Slice and kill multiple people with one Reverse Slice. So I just love seeing that. This is new to the build. So we've got Camo Hunter. They made some changes to it this patch. So not only does it give the Fighters Guild weapon damage passive, this also gives you Major Savagery, which is what we lost from changing potions. And it gives us Minor Berserk for 5 seconds when you deal critical damage from an enemy's flank. So that 8% damage bonus is huge for Stamina Sorcerer because we've never really had a way to get that buff. And so by using Camouflage Hunter, we're able to get that buff and increase our damage even more. So here we're running Shuffle. So earlier I said we were running 7 medium. They changed Shuffle to where the more medium you run, the longer it lasts. And what they changed was it's now 1 second per piece of medium armor instead of a half second. So now we get 7 full seconds of snare immunity by using Shuffle. Next is Critical Surge. So this is one of our main heals. This and Vigor keep us alive. This is the reason that we build so much crit on our Stamina Sorcerer. And then we have Onslaught. So Onslaught, this ult is just amazing. It's probably going to get nerfed. It's very, very strong. So it hits very hard. It's AoE now. So it has a 5-meter radius. And then it also, whatever target you hit, you take all of their resistances and add that to your penetration for 12 seconds. So that's a very long duration for a penetration boost. So if you hit a target with 40k resist, you've got 40k penetration from that, just to put that into perspective. And that's against all the other enemies you're hitting as well, not just that person. So if I were going to say that we have some flex spots, it would be these 2 flex spots. So I would never run an open world build without snare immunity if I have it available. So you could run the other morph of Rally here. You could run Forward Momentum instead. If I was running 5-1-1, I would run Forward Momentum instead of Shuffle. But since I'm running 7 medium, I run Shuffle. So in place of this, I would put Forward Momentum if I wasn't running 7 medium. In place of Camo Hunter, since I do have Shuffle here, you could put Rally. Rally's a massive heal. You could use Rally. I can't change that back now because I got streaked into. But that is the other option I could put there. Something else you could put there, if you wanted to, you could put Streak. That's another viable option. You could put bound armaments. That's another viable option. Or you could put something like a gap closer or a fighter's guild trap beast. So you got a lot of options you could put in these flex spots, but this is my favorite way to run it. Next on the back bar, we have quick cloak. We have quick cloak because of these Black Rose perfected axes and daggers. So whenever we use quick cloak, you'll see the little green thing swirling around me. That is major protection. So when we use quick cloak, we get major protection, we get major expedition, and we get major evasion, as well as it giving us an AoE dot. So quick cloak offers a lot for this build. The dot's there to proc crit surge. The speed helps the stem sword move around, which is one of our main defenses. And then major evasion, although we get it from shuffle. So that's one of the beautiful things about if we were using forward momentum, we would have another source of major evasion here through quick cloak. So change these skills around the way you want to, but I would say these two are the flex spots. Everything else pretty much needs to stay the same for this build to work. So Blood Craze, this is another hot, so it's a heal over time. Pretty nice. Once I buff up, that goes up even more. It's also a dot, so it has a direct damage component and it has a damage over time component. So this damage over time, again, it's got a hot of its own, but this damage over time can proc our crit surge, giving us very, very good heals. So the next skill is Dark Deal. This is our sustain tool. You'll see a lot of sorcerers waving their hand. That's our sustain tool, as well as a big heal. So this can crit now. That's a huge upgrade from last patch. And then we've got Hurricane here. This is our defensive buff. Again, this has a dot component. Dot component can proc crit surge. Very great. This also gives minor expedition, contributing to our speed. Next, we have Resolving Vigor. Resolving Vigor, this is another one of our main heals. So our main heals are crit surge and Resolving Vigor. Buffed up, we have a Resolving Vigor tooltip of 17.4k. And then we have Temporal Guard back here. So this is back here for two reasons. First off, it gives us some mobility, allows us to get out of sticky situations, but also it's there for the minor protection. So on this back bar, we have major protection, minor protection, and we have our main hot that we have to cast, which is Vigor. So crit surge is a long hot. We don't have to cast it as often. But we have Vigor, we have a burst heal, and we have things to proc our crit surge. So our defensive bar is very, very strong. So one thing I wanted to show y'all is just how far a stem sword can get in those 4 seconds that it takes for Temporal Guard to reset. So we hit reset, we're all the way back where we started. So we can make it all the way across the room with this Temporal Guard. So if we're running through these hallways, we can take them around a corner. Once they get over here, we can hit Temporal Guard and we'll end up in the other room. So that's what makes this such a great mobility tool. All right, so the last thing we need to go over, I want to show y'all what the weapon damage goes up to whenever I light attack. So we've got 4782 weapon damage whenever we just light attack. That's huge. But you must remember, we also have that 400 weapon damage from auto. And that auto weapon damage also takes our multiplier, which is 1.4. So auto turns into 560 weapon damage, which is not listed on that weapon damage. So all in all, we're at about 5,300 weapon damage after just a light attack. We don't have to wait for Fury to build up. We don't have to cast any skill to proc a different set. Light attack or dizzy swing, whatever we do, and we're going to have that weapon damage. All right, so let's go over the champion points really quick. So our champion points, we have 32 Blessed, 42 Physical Weapon Expert, 81 Master at Arms. So this might look weird to you. The whole reason we're doing this is for the Tactician passive. And in the video that I link after this, or the clip that I show after this, you're going to see the viability of Tactician. Whenever you dodge roll, set them off balance, you can heavy attack them, and it'll stun them, and it'll give you bonus resources. So Tactician, very, very strong CP. Next, we have 66 precise strikes. That's because we crit a lot. We've got 50% crit. And so this affects our heals and our damage. That's why I focused more here than on Mighty. So Mighty, I've got 49. All right, so Ironclad, what kills you is burst. I don't care what you've heard from everyone else. You're not dying to those dots stacking on you. Your hots are there to heal you through the dots. The things that kill you are the burst. So this Ironclad is there to prevent against the burst. Resistance there to get our crit resist high enough to resist those critical hits. And then we've got Thick Skin for the dot damage. We've got Hardy and Ellie Defender for physical and magic damage. So I have more here and here because they scale a lot better than these two trees. We've got 23 in quick recovery for extra heals. 1 Siphoner just for a debuff. We have Warlord here for break free. So break free is one of those things where I don't reduce it any other way. So putting a lot of points there is very beneficial. 64 in Mooncalf because our stamina recovery is already high. More points, you get more benefit. Tenacity for our heavy attacks. Tumbling because we roll dodge a lot. We already have some reduction for medium armor, so this is not, you don't get a complete 23% here. It's reduced a little bit because of the scaling, but we still dodge roll a lot in our medium armor, so we have a lot of points there. Shadow Ward for when we need to block, because some things you have to block, you can't dodge roll, you can't tank it out, so you have to block in order to survive. So one thing I missed was whenever you block with this on the back bar, because it's a Sigic Order skill, you actually get a damage shield. And so I figure this is a good time to make up for missing that earlier. Blocking, you get your damage shield, add some tankiness. And so that is the build video. If y'all have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And I'm going to follow this up with a clip that I got on this build the other day. So y'all please enjoy the clip. Thank you for watching.